Hello, we are starting talking about polynomials. I found this table online that I thought was a good way to show you the naming conventions for polynomials. That's the first thing I want to talk about. So that's what this video is going to be about, is naming conventions. First of all, a polynomial, right, is anything that is number or x's where you can have x's to a power, but it might be easier to explain what a polynomial is by explaining what a polynomial isn't, right? So in order for something to be a polynomial, you can't have x's in the exponent. So that's how it's different from exponential, which we're talking about in the last unit. So the x's can't be in the exponent. You can't have x in the denominator of a fraction. It's just simply x's and constants, and then you can have powers on the x's. You can have x squared, x cubed. The powers are actually really important. These are how we sort of classify polynomials. So the highest power is called the degree of the polynomial. So it's the highest power in the whole polynomial. So like in this one down here, the 5 is the highest power that an x has in this polynomial. So we call this a 5th degree polynomial, or quintic. So that's what these names are talking about, what degree the polynomial is. So if it doesn't have an x at all, that's just a constant. If the highest power, if x to the highest power is just x to the first, that's linear. If you have x and the highest power is a 2, then that's quadratic. If you're looking at your polynomial and the highest power that an x has is a 3, that's cubic. If the highest power is a 4, that's quartic. And if the highest power is 5, that's quintic. So these are the names we're going to use when we're naming polynomials. The other part of the name that we're going to use is the number of terms. So if there's only one term, so a term is anything that's being multiplied but not added. So like this is a term and this is a term. So this has 2 terms because there's an addition in between. So if there's a addition or subtraction in between, it's a new term. So this is a term because there's no addition or subtraction. This is a term. This is a second term. This is a third term. This is a term. This is a second term. So if you only have one term in a polynomial, then that's a monomial. Mono meaning one. If there are 2 terms, that's a binomial. Bi meaning 2. 3 terms is a trinomial. After 3, we don't have any special names. So if it's got 4 terms, like this one, we just say it's a polynomial with 4 terms. Or specifically, this would be quintic with 4 terms. So generally when we're naming, I would call this a monomial constant. That's what, if I was asked to name these, that's what I would write down on my paper, would be monomial constant. This would be a or a constant monomial would be fine. This would be a linear binomial. This would be a quadratic monomial. This is a cubic trinomial. This is a quartic binomial. And this one is a quintic with 4 terms. So if it has 5 terms, then you could say quintic with 5 terms. So you're figuring out the number of terms, and those are these names: monomial, binomial, trinomial, and then just the number of terms. And then the degree, which is the highest power, are these names. So if there's no x, that's a constant. First degree linear, second degree quadratic, degree 3 is cubic, degree 4 is quartic, degree 5 is quintic, and then after that we don't have any special names. So if it's degree 6, if it has a power of 6, you just call that a 6th degree polynomial. We don't have any special names for that anymore. So this table will be really good to write down, to reference while you're doing your homework, because these are the terms that you're going to use when you're naming polynomials.